Hi there, Kate Petty with LG. I am the CreateBoard specialist and trainer, and today we're going to be taking a look specifically at some settings in your Windows OPS. But first, let's talk about what that Windows OPS is and what I'm going to be talking about when I say OPS. Essentially, on the side of the CreateBoard is a little slot, and your organization has chosen to put in a Windows device to that slot. That Windows device essentially is a full computer version of your Windows account. So when you sign in, you should see exactly what you would normally see in your Windows account on your own device, such as your computer. I'm going to be showing Windows 11 today. If you happen to have Windows 10, there really aren't that many differences other than that the desktop looks a little different and the taskbar looks a little different. But you can get to all of the places I'll be showing today in the same way. So let's take a look at the first 5 settings we would suggest you take a look at and set your preferences for as you set up your Windows OPS. Okay, so let's take a look at those settings here on the CreateBoard on my Windows OPS. As I mentioned before, I am on Windows 11. So if you happen to be on Windows 10, it's not too hard to adjust. Pretty much everything on the taskbar at the bottom is kind of moved to the middle. Everything else I'm going to be showing you should be just about the same as you would normally find on your own. So I'm going to tap, in order to get to settings, the little window icon on the taskbar just left of the search bar. And when I tap that, it'll open up my pinned apps. I've pinned settings. Settings might be pinned for you as well. And on mine, it's on the first row at the very end, it says settings there with the gear shift. Now, if you don't see settings in this first pinned application or view, click on just above settings there, all apps, and you should be able to find settings in all apps. So I'm going to tap settings, and it's going to put me into the system settings. You'll see categories on the left with the options for those categories on the middle. Now, 4 of the settings we're going to be looking at today are all in the system category, so we're not going to have to move too far. The very first thing we're going to take a look at, in the first setting we would look at, is the display. Now, on the display, if you go down to scale and layout and then scale, I have it at 175%. What you probably have it on your board is the 300%, which is recommended. It's actually not recommended for CreateBoards. I would recommend 175 or 200%, simply because at 300, it's a little too big. So if you try to split your screen, some websites might not work because it's so big. And in fact, when you're on a website, the toolbar for the website, for the URL and the bookmarks and things, come down about 1/3 of the way down the page. So you're not getting a lot of screen real estate for what you're doing. So I would look at 175% or 200% for your scale and for the layout of the board itself. The next thing we're going to take a look at is we're going to go back to system, and then we're going to look at notifications. Now, if you are a regular Microsoft user, you know that Microsoft is very fond of notifying you for everything. That's not necessarily the greatest plan for the CreateBoard when you're trying to do things with your students and suddenly you get these banners about what's been updated and what hasn't. So I've actually set all of my notifications off on off, and all of the resulting notifications down below. Now, I have chosen to keep a couple of notifications at the very bottom for myself, show me the Windows welcome experience after an update, and get tips and suggestions. That's a personal preference for me. However, if you have a Windows device that you're getting these things from on your computer anyway, I would suggest actually even pulling those off as well. So that is the second setting I would take a look at, is notifications. All right, the third setting is probably the most important setting. And I've gone to system and then power, and now I'm in screen and sleep. And you'll see that when plugged in, turn off my screen after, and I've put never down there. You've got to go here and do this right away. So essentially what this is saying is, hey, if I haven't used it in 1 hour, 2 hours, or 3 hours, my screen will go to sleep. Well, on the CreateBoard on your Windows OPS, there's no way to jiggle it awake. So once it goes to sleep, you actually have to shut down the whole board and restart it again in order to jiggle it awake again. So what I would strongly suggest is that you never let it go to sleep. So click on never, and then it'll only turn off when you choose to turn it off, when you're done for the day or when you're done at the end of the day. So that's the third setting that I would make on your Windows OPS. The next one is multitasking. So there's going to be times when you're going to want to split your screen, snap some windows, get some window options when you're using two different applications or websites at the same time. And a lot of our training videos that you're going to probably be watching after this will have this feature enabled. So you're going to want to make sure that Snap Windows here is on. And it may already be on for you. Just make sure it's toggled on. And then when I click the little drop down arrow next to the on button, you can see that I've also made sure that all of my Snap Windows options are on as well. So those are the 4 settings I'd take a look at in the system settings. The last thing is probably sometimes for some people the most important, even though I think it's the power and everything, and that would be personalization. So over here on the left-hand side in categories, I'm going to tap on personalization. And if you wanted to get to it very, very quickly, you can always just hold your finger on the desktop of the board and access personalization that way. And you'll see all of the ways you can personalize the board with your backgrounds, colors, themes, choose what's going to be on your lock screen. Your touch keyboard, just as a reminder, is down in the bottom right-hand corner. You'll see it next to the little microphone. So here's the touch keyboard. This is what it looks like for the Windows view. You even have options for the touch keyboard. So play around with those options, have a little fun, customize it, and personalize it to make it your best experience. All right, so those are the top 5 settings we would suggest you take a look at and play around with to adjust for your own preferences as you're setting up your Windows OPS. First, you're going to go to Display, and in Display, you'll find 4 of those settings. Change the scale or the display scale of your device so that it's not at the 300% recommended. Try 170% or 200%. Go to the notification section and turn off all your notifications so that they don't keep popping up as you're trying to use the CreateBoard with your students. Next, go to the power part of it and make sure the sleep setting is set on never. That way it will never go to sleep in the middle of the day and you won't have to power the board up in order to jiggle it back awake again. And then the last thing in the display settings is that multitasking or that snap windows. So go to multitasking and make sure that snap windows key is on. That way you'll be able to split screens and do a lot of the things that we'll be doing in the training videos effortlessly and seamlessly. Finally, personalize it. Go to the personalization section, change up your desktop, change up the colors, decide what you want to put on your taskbar, do all of those kinds of fun personalization things to make your board your own. And that's it. We hope to see you on the next video.